What a moment. What a moment, right? That did not disappoint. You heard President Obama saying that the peaceful transition of power is one of the greatest strengths of democracy. And this is something that all Americans can be proud of. You know, for all the partisan rancor that we see in politics today, in this presidential contest that we saw the last time around, even, you know, with one president having some criticisms of the former president, on a day like today, they're just Americans. They're men and women who shared some of the most important jobs in the world and have a special bond because of it. Joining me now for a bit of a reaction is Marjorie Clifton. She's a former consultant to the Obama 2008 campaign and principal of Clifton Consulting, LLC, and Brad Blakeman, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush. And Brad, I know you actually were invited to this event today. Couldn't make it because you had to be there super early if you wanted to participate, and you had some things.
That's right.
But so it's your loss is our gain. You know, I think we started off the hour showing some of the criticism that President Obama has leveled at your former boss. And that's real, and he's done that, and people know. I mean, that happens sometimes in politics. But today was a day about the presidency and how special America is when it comes to the transition of power and when it comes to how our leaders treat one another as human beings.
That's right. It sets us apart from any other nation. We all fight in our political differences, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We believe in the institutions, customs, and traditions of the president, and nothing said that more than the event we just witnessed. And let me say, as somebody who served as president, I was never more proud of the president that I served every day I served. And this is probably the only time where the President Obama will frame the Bushes where they're willing participants. And it's a day when all Americans can feel good about our country and our president and the presidents who have served.
You know, Marjorie, you tell me, I mean, as a Democrat, as somebody who has advised the Obama campaign, even those in the country who weren't fans of President Bush politically and were happy to see his presidency come to an end, do you think people can get past that now? Do you think that people can look at him and the former First Lady with, you know, respect and with a fondness that we have for so many of our former presidents and First Ladies?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that every president, regardless of what you think of their politics, is a unique person in what they go through in the presidency. As the President Barack Obama said, you know, we've got the gray hair to show for it. And I think what was most moving to me about this day, I was sort of in Barbara and Genesee, choked up over the entire thing, is what families have to contribute as part of the White House. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this day, to have the First Lady speaking about it, hearing from both presidents about the struggles, and really getting past what right now is a very unreasonably partisan time for our country, and to acknowledge what's happening in politics and how it's not just one presidency, it's something that we bear from presidency to presidency. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, people appreciate the humanity of anyone who serves in that office and what a unique seat it is. And I thought it a really beautiful speech.
And I want to ask you about the same question to you, Brad, because you've been an open critic of President Obama. And, you know, this showed us a different side of the president. We've seen it before, but a different side of President Obama, where he was generous toward his predecessor. And you saw more of a man who was a little honest about the challenges of being in that office, and talked about how we may have our differences politically, but the presidency transcends those, and talked about all the good things that your former boss had done to help make his transition into the role a little easier. I mean, does it soften you towards Barack Obama the man at all?
Yes, I have great respect for Barack Obama the man. I differ with him politically, but certainly as a candidate, he can only imagine what it's like to be president. That all changes on January 20th at 12:01 p.m. when he becomes the president, and suddenly all that weight and responsibility is on his shoulders. Things that he only could opine about, now he has knowledge of, and it changes the individual. And you could see that today in his mannerisms, in his speech towards the president. There's a kinship in that small fraternity who have served as president. We have a handful of living presidents, and only they know what they can feel inside, what they know, and there's a camaraderie there no matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
You know, Marjorie, I don't mean to inject any sort of measure of, you know, unhappiness into this discussion, but I was at Barack Obama's inauguration, and when President Bush and Laura Bush came out, and when President H.W. Bush, George H.W. and Barbara Bush came out, they were booed by several people who were in that audience there that day. I was there and I witnessed it myself. And it was an unfortunate moment because, you know, this is a former president, whether you liked his policies or not. Today, watching George Bush, the Jr., reference his dad getting choked up, his dad in a wheelchair now, saying his spokesman said earlier, his legs just don't work the way that he wants them to anymore. Do you think that maybe there's a softening by folks who didn't like this man or these men?
Sure. I mean, time heals all. And, as President Obama pointed out, you learn quickly when you're in office that you really can't win everybody. And I think that's true of any administration. I mean, we all live and think, again, I liked that they highlighted the things that the Bush family did or George W. Bush did to lay the groundwork for where we are on a national security standpoint, in the same way that there's been sort of a healing process in terms of the economy and what was built and what we're trying to deal with now, and how it's not about one presidency. There's problems that we bear as a nation. And, I liked that President Obama gave credit to President Bush for all he's done to help pave the way and also to help him transition into the presidency. And again, I think President Bush would be the first to be empathetic to everything that Obama's dealing with in terms of the economy and criticisms on all levels.
Yeah.
So
he's been very careful not to criticize President Obama, believing that it doesn't help, a sitting president do his job. But I'll tell you what, you see that kind of ceremony makes you proud to be an American.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're taking your thoughts on it. What did you